The maid heard the child gasping for air at midnight. His new stepmother stood over him, hand raised to strike. She made one call that changed everything, to the boy's father, the most feared man in the city. He wasn't supposed to know his wife's secret. The monitor beside Leo's bed let out a soft beep, one that 7-year-old boys shouldn't recognize as dangerous, but Leo Ruzzo did. His chest felt tight, like someone was sitting on it. The room spun when he tried to sit up. "Dad." His voice came out as a whisper. Dante Ruzzo stood at the doorway, already dressed in his black suit, checking his watch. Business. Always business. But he crossed the room in 3 long strides when he heard his son's labored breathing. "Hey, buddy. You okay?" Dante pressed his palm against Leo's forehead. Cool, but clammy. "Just tired." Leo forced a smile. He'd learned not to complain. Every time he did, he saw that flash of pain in his father's eyes, the guilt that aided Dante since Leo's mother died bringing him into this world. "Your medicine's right here on the nightstand. Bianca will check on you in an hour." Dante kissed his son's forehead. "I'll be back before breakfast. Promise." Leo watched his father leave, heard the heavy footsteps descend the marble staircase, heard the front door close with its familiar thud. Then came the sound of the convoy, 3 black SUVs rumbling down the driveway of the Ruzzo mansion. The house fell silent. Leo counted to 60, then to 60 again. His new stepmother always waited exactly 2 minutes after Dante left, like clockwork. The door opened. Bianca Ruzzo swept into the room, her silk robe whispering against the hardwood floor. In the daylight, around Dante, she was all smiles and gentle touches. But night revealed her true face, sharp angles and cold eyes that looked at Leo like he was a stain on expensive carpet. Still alive. She didn't bother with the sweet voice she used around Dante. How disappointing. Leo's hand moved toward the emergency button clipped to his bedside. His father had it installed after the last attack. Press it and armed guards would flood the room in seconds. Bianca saw the movement. Her hand shot out, grabbing his wrist with surprising strength. "I wouldn't." "You're hurting me." Leo tried to pull away, but his weak heart left him with even weaker muscles. "Oh, this." She squeezed harder. "This is nothing compared to what's coming. Do you know what you are, Leo? You're a mistake. A medical disaster that costs your father millions in treatments. Dead weight." She released him suddenly, and Leo fell back against his pillows, gasping. His chest burned now, each breath harder than the last. Bianca reached for the nightstand, her fingers closing around the orange prescription bottles. Leo's medicine. His heart medicine. The pills that kept him alive. "Looking for these?" She held them up, shaking them like maracas. Then, in one smooth motion, she dumped them into her robe pocket. "Oops. Please." Leo's vision started to blur at the edges. The tightness in his chest was spreading, turning into pain that radiated down his left arm. He knew these symptoms. He'd been through enough medical emergencies to recognize them. I need those." "What you need," Bianca said, leaning close enough that he could smell her perfume, something expensive and suffocating, "is to stop breathing. Preferably tonight. Maybe it'll look like a heart attack. Natural causes. So tragic. Poor Dante, losing his son just like he lost his wife." Leo tried to scream, but his lungs wouldn't cooperate. His lips were starting to tingle, going numb. The room tilted. He slid off the bed, his knees hitting the floor hard. Pain shot through his legs, but it was nothing compared to the crushing sensation in his chest. He reached for the emergency button on the nightstand, but Bianca kicked it away. "Faking weakness?" Her voice dripped with contempt. "Your mother died giving birth to a faker." She raised her hand. Leo saw it coming but couldn't move fast enough. His body wouldn't respond. This was it. He was going to die on his bedroom floor while his father negotiated with criminals, never knowing that the real monster was the woman wearing his wedding ring. The door burst open. Mara Santos, the household's head maid, stood frozen for half a second, just long enough to take in the scene. Leo on the floor, lips turning blue. Bianca standing over him, hand raised. The empty space where his medicine bottles should be. Then training took over. Mara had been an ER nurse before a Mafia shooting at her hospital made her question everything. She'd taken this quiet job caring for a sick child to escape violence, to do something good. But nurses don't forget their training. Get away from him. Mara grabbed the water pitcher from Leo's dresser and hurled it. The crystal pitcher hit Bianca square in the chest, exploding in a shower of water and glass.
Bianca shrieked, stumbling backward.
Mara didn't wait. She scooped Leo into her arms, 47 pounds of dying child, and ran. Stop her. Bianca's scream echoed through the mansion. Guards. The maid is attacking Leo. But Mara knew this house. She'd spent 2 years learning every corner, every forgotten room, every secret passage that old Mafia mansions always seemed to have. She ran toward the east wing, toward the servants' quarters that hadn't been used since Dante's father died. Behind her, she heard Bianca's footsteps, heard doors slamming open, heard the panic spreading through the house. Leo's breathing was getting worse. His small hand clutched at Mara's shirt, his eyes rolling back. Stay with me, baby, Mara whispered, kicking open a hidden door behind a portrait of Dante's grandfather. Stay with me? The abandoned servants' wing was dark, dusty, forgotten.
Perfect.
Mara found the old sick room, where household staff used to recover from illnesses a century ago. She laid Leo on an ancient daybed, her hands already checking his pulse. Weak, thready, too fast. She needed help.
She needed Dante.
Her phone was in her apron pocket. Her hands shook as she dialed, praying he would answer, praying she wasn't already too late. The phone rang once.
Twice.
3 times. In the hallway outside, Bianca's voice grew closer. Find them. Find them now. 4 rings. Leo's eyes fluttered closed. 5 rings. Come on, come on, come on. Mara? Dante's voice, confused. Annoyed. He never got calls during meetings. What's wrong? Mara opened her mouth to explain, but Leo chose that moment to stop breathing entirely. The silence was deafening. Then he gasped, a horrible, wet, rattling sound that Mara knew meant his lungs were filling with fluid. Heart failure. Advanced. Minutes, not hours. Mr. Ruzzo, Mara's voice cracked. Your son is dying. And your wife just tried to kill him. The warehouse smelled like rust and old blood, a neutral ground where enemies pretended to be civilized. Dante sat across from Vincent Marcello, head of the rival family that had been encroaching on Ruzzo territory for 6 months. Between them sat a map marked with red and blue lines, dividing the city like a pizza. Your offer is insulting, Vincent said, his gold rings clinking against the table. The docks have been ours for. Dante's phone vibrated. Mara's name flashed on the screen. In 2 years, she'd never called him. Not once. Excuse me, Dante reached for the phone. Vincent's hand slammed down on the table. We're in the middle of. It's my son's nurse. Dante's voice dropped to a temperature that made Vincent's bodyguards shift nervously. He answered. Mara? What's wrong? The sound hit him first, a wet, gasping wheeze that he'd heard before during Leo's worst attacks. His blood turned to ice. Mr. Ruzzo, Mara's voice was pure terror. Your son is dying. And your wife just tried to kill him. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. What are you? She took his medicine. All of it. She was going to hit him, and he collapsed, and I had to run, and we're hiding, but he's not breathing right. He's a crash. Mara screamed. She found us, I have to. The line went dead. Dante was on his feet before his brain caught up, his chair clattering backward. His bodyguards Marco and Tony jumped up with him. We're leaving. Dante headed for the door. Sit down, Vincent's voice was sharp. We've been planning this meeting for 3 months. You walk out now, and there's no deal. There's only war. My son can wait 10 minutes, Vincent smiled, showing too many teeth. Unless you want to explain to the commission why you chose one sick kid over peace between our families. Marco grabbed Dante's arm. Boss, he's right. We leave now, Marcelo will take it as an insult. Everything we've worked for. Dante looked at his consigliera, his oldest friend, the man who'd stood beside him through gang wars and federal investigations. Then he looked at the phone in his hand, still showing Mara's name. Your wife just tried to kill him. Marco, I'm going to say this once. Dante's voice was deadly calm. My son is dying. Someone in my house just tried to murder him. I don't care if leaving starts World War III. I'm walking out that door. Dante, think about. I am thinking. He pulled his arm free. I'm thinking about how Leo looked this morning, asking me not to go. I'm thinking about how he's 7 years old, and his biggest fear is monsters under the bed. It's me not being there when he needs me. His gun was in his hand now, though he didn't remember drawing it. So, anyone who wants to stop me better be ready to kill me. The warehouse went silent. Vincent leaned back, studying Dante with calculating eyes. Interesting. The great Dante Ruzzo, rattled by a phone call. Makes me wonder what else could rattle you. Something in his tone made Dante pause. What did you say? Nothing. Vincent's smile widened.
Go save your boy, Dante.
We'll reschedule. Though I should mention, I got a very interesting call about 20 minutes ago. Something about your new wife having family connections to my organization. The words hit like bullets.
Bianca.
Moretti. He'd known she came from a smaller family, had assumed the marriage would strengthen alliances. But if she was connected to Marcelo. You bastard, Dante raised his gun. Easy, Vincent's 4 bodyguards had their weapons out now too. I'm not saying I know anything. I'm just saying that phone call was very well timed. Almost like someone knew you'd be here, knew you'd be distracted, knew you'd have to choose between business and family. Boss, we need to go. Tony was at the door, phone pressed to his ear. I just tried calling the house. Paolo says everything's fine. Leo's sleeping, no problems. But if Mara called you?
Paolo.
Head of mansion security. Hired 6 months ago on Bianca's recommendation. The pieces clicked into place with horrifying clarity. It's a setup, Dante's mind raced. This whole thing, the meeting, the timing, Bianca waiting until I left. Well, you're smarter than you look, Vincent stood, buttoning his jacket. Like I said, I don't know anything. But if I did know something, I'd probably wonder why your new wife's cousin is sitting in a car outside, waiting to make sure you stay here long enough. Dante moved before anyone could react, 3 shots through the warehouse window. Outside, a black sedan exploded in flames, its driver diving out the door. Move. Dante was sprinting now, Marco and Tony right behind him, bullets pinging off metal as Vincent's men opened fire. They burst through the back exit, where their own cars waited. Dante threw himself into the driver's seat, not waiting for his bodyguards. The engine roared to life. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Too late. The boy stops breathing in an hour. The wife takes over. You lose everything. Dante's foot slammed the accelerator. The mansion was 30 minutes away. Leo didn't have 30 minutes. Bianca stood in the mansion's grand foyer, her wet silk robe clinging to her skin, glass shards glittering in her hair. Her carefully constructed mask had cracked, and underneath was pure rage. The call to Dante changed everything. She'd planned this so carefully, weeks of slowly reducing Leo's medication, creating the appearance of natural decline. By morning, the boy was supposed to be dead, and she'd be the grieving stepmother comforting her devastated husband. Now that stupid maid had ruined it all.
Paolo.
Her voice echoed off the marble floors. The head of security appeared within seconds, 5 guards behind him. Paolo was hers, bought and paid for by the Marcelo family months before she'd ever walked down the aisle. Getting him hired had been the first step. Marrying Dante had been the second. Mrs. Ruzzo, what happened? Paolo's concern was perfectly acted. That woman, Mara, she's had a mental breakdown. Bianca forced tears into her eyes, her voice trembling. I went to check on Leo and found her acting strange, paranoid. She said I was trying to hurt him, Then she attacked me and ran off with him. We have to find them before she does something terrible. One of the guards, an older man named Santo, stepped forward. Ma'am, Mara's been with the family for 2 years. She's never shown any signs of. Are you questioning me? Bianca's tears vanished. My husband put me in charge of this household. Or, do you forget who signs your paychecks? Santo's jaw tightened. I remember. But I also remember that my orders come from Don Ruzzo, and until I hear from him directly. Paolo's gun was out, pressed against Santo's temple. Your orders come from Mrs. Ruzzo now. The foyer divided instantly. 3 guards moved to Santo's side, hands on their weapons. The other 2 flanked Paolo. Bianca watched with satisfaction. She'd spent months identifying the loyal ones and the corruptible ones. Stand down, all of you. She used her sweetest voice, the one that had convinced Dante to marry her. Santo, I understand your dedication. It's admirable. But Leo is sick, possibly dying, and an unstable woman has him. Every second we argue is a second closer to tragedy. She pulled her phone from her pocket, holding it up. I'm calling Dante right now. He'll confirm everything. But while we wait for him to call back, I need you to search this mansion. Find them. Santo holstered his weapon slowly.
Fine.
But when Don Ruzzo gets here, he'll thank you for protecting his son, Bianca smiled. Now go. East wing first. As Santo and his loyalists headed toward the servants' quarters, Bianca grabbed Paolo's arm, pulling him close. Get them out of here, she whispered. All 3. Make it look like an accident. What about Dante? Hill. Dante just walked out of a meeting with Vincent Marcello. By now he knows something's wrong. He'll come racing back here, worried about his precious boy, and what will he find? Her smile was razor-sharp. A tragic scene. His son dead from a heart attack. The maid who caused it in her panic, fallen down the stairs trying to escape. So sad. So unavoidable. Paolo nodded, speaking into his radio. All units, the maid is armed and dangerous. She's taken the boy hostage. Shoot on sight. Wait. One of Santo's men stopped, turning back. Armed? Mara doesn't even carry. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. The guard dropped, blood pooling beneath him. Paolo lowered his weapon. Anyone else want to question Mrs. Ruzzo? Silence. Good. Bianca stepped over the body like it was a puddle. Now bring me that maid and that child. We're running out of time. She walked toward Dante's study, pulling out a second phone, one Dante didn't know about. She dialed a familiar number. It's me, she said when Vincent answered. We have a problem. The maid called Dante. He knows. Already handled, Vincent's voice was calm. I kept him as long as I could. Planted enough doubt to make him paranoid. By the time he gets home, he won't know who to trust, including you. That's when you play the terrified wife, remember? You discovered the maid's plot, tried to stop her, but she was too fast. And if he doesn't believe me,
He will.
you're a Moretti, Bianca. Lying is in your blood, Vincent paused. But just in case, I'm sending reinforcements. 20 men, dressed as gardeners and delivery drivers. They'll infiltrate the grounds within the hour. If Dante sides with the maid, we move to Plan B. Which is, kill them all. Burn the mansion. Blame a rival family. In the chaos, the Marcello family takes over Ruzzo territory, and you become a very wealthy widow. Vincent's laugh was cold. Either way, you win. That's what we agreed. Bianca ended the call, staring at her reflection in the study's mirror. Her mascara had run, her hair was wild, her robe torn. She looked like a victim.
Perfect.
In the distance, she heard footsteps running through the mansion.
Shouts.
The sound of doors being kicked open. Santo's voice calling for Mara to come out peacefully. But Bianca knew the truth. There would be nothing peaceful about tonight. By dawn, either Leo would be dead, or everyone would be. She smiled at her reflection. The odds were in her favor. Mara pressed her back against the dusty door, her heart hammering so hard She thought it might burst. The abandoned servants' wing hadn't been used in decades. Cobwebs hung from corners. Furniture sat covered in white sheets like ghosts, and the air tasted stale. Leo lay on the ancient daybed, his small chest rising and falling in rapid, shallow movements. His lips had gone from pink to gray to a terrifying shade of blue. "Stay with me, baby." Mara pressed 2 fingers against his neck, counting. His pulse was weak, erratic, jumping between 160 and 180 beats per minute. In medical terms, he was in acute heart failure. In simple terms, he was dying. She had maybe 20 minutes before his heart gave out completely. The old room had been a sick ward once, back when the Rutso family employed 30 servants. Mara spotted an ancient medical cabinet in the corner and lunged for it. Inside, expired bandages, rusted instruments, and, thank God, a dusty stethoscope. She listened to Leo's chest. Crackles. Fluid in the lungs. His heart was failing to pump efficiently, causing fluid backup. Without his diuretics and heart medication, his body was drowning from the inside.
Miss.
Mara, Leo's voice was barely a whisper. "Sure, save your strength. Have to. Tell you," he coughed, a wet sound that made Mara's stomach clench.
Bianca.
"I heard her. On the phone. Leo, please." Said something about the real heir. Not being allowed to live, his fingers clutched weakly at her sleeve. She had a letter. In her drawer. "I saw it when she thought I was sleeping." Mara's blood ran cold. This wasn't just abuse. This was premeditated murder. What did the letter say? Couldn't read it all. But it had a name. Marcelo. And numbers. Like a bank account, Leo's eyes were starting to glaze. Papa doesn't know. Papa thinks she loves him. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Multiple sets. Getting closer. "Check every room." Paolo's voice. "I want them found in the next 5 minutes." Mara looked around frantically. The room had one door, the one she'd barricaded with an old dresser, and one window that overlooked a 3-story drop onto concrete. The landline. She'd seen it on the wall, an ancient rotary phone from the 1970s. Did it still work? She grabbed the receiver, nearly sobbing with relief when she heard a dial tone. Her fingers shook as she spun the dial, calling the one person who'd helped the Rutso family before. Dr. Emil Karras. Underground physician. No questions asked. Karras, his voice was gruff, suspicious. "Dr. Karras, it's Mara Santos. I need help. The Rutso boy, Leo, he's in heart failure. Acute. Someone took all his medications and..." "Slow down. What are his symptoms?" "Tachycardia, peripheral cyanosis, pulmonary edema, altered consciousness."
Jesus.
"How long has he been without meds?" "At least 6 hours, maybe more." A pause. "I'm in the city. 3 hours away, minimum. Can you get him to a hospital?"
No.
"Someone in the house is trying to kill him. If I move him into the open, we're both dead." Another pause, longer this time. "Okay. Listen carefully. You need to reduce the fluid in his lungs or his heart will stop. Do you have any diuretics? Lasix? Anything?" "Nothing. We're in an abandoned room with..." She looked around desperately. "Old medical supplies. Expired. Maybe some..." The door shuddered as something slammed against it. Paolo's voice. "I know you're in there. Open up and nobody gets hurt." "I'm out of time," Mara whispered. "Then you need to buy time. Elevate his head and chest. Helps the fluid settle.
Keep him calm.
High stress will make his heart work harder. And Mara?
Pray.
Pray I get there before his heart gives out." The line went dead. Another slam against the door. The dresser scraped forward an inch. Leo coughed again, and this time blood flecked his lips. Internal bleeding. His organs were starting to shut down. "Miss Mara," his hand found hers.
I'm scared.
"I know, sweetheart. Me too. Will Papa get here in time?" Mara thought of Dante, probably still 30 minutes away, racing through the night not knowing that his own wife had orchestrated this. Would he believe her? Or would he think she'd gone crazy, attacked his new wife, kidnapped his son? Your papa loves you more than anything in the world, she said instead. And I promise, I won't let anything happen to you. The door shuttered again. Wood cracked. Leo's eyes drifted closed, and for one terrible moment, Mara thought he'd stopped breathing entirely. Then his chest rose, fell, rose again. Still alive.
Barely.
She pulled out her phone, hands shaking, and did something she'd sworn never to do. She took a photo of Leo, his blue lips, his struggling chest, the blood at the corner of his mouth. Evidence. If she died tonight, if they both died, at least Dante would know the truth. Then she opened her messages and typed, "Hidden in servant's wing. East side. 3rd floor. Leo critical. Bianca tried to." The door exploded inward, the dresser finally giving way. Paolo stood in the doorway, gun raised, 3 guards behind him. "End of the line," he said. Dante's speedometer hit 95 as he tore down the coastal highway, the ocean a black void to his right. The mansion was 15 minutes away. 15 minutes that Leo might not have. His phone buzzed. A text from Mara. "Hidden in servant's wing. East side. 3rd floor. Leo critical. Bianca tried to." The message cut off. No. Dante tried calling back. Straight to voicemail. Marco sat in the passenger seat, reloading his weapon. "Boss, if what Marcelo said is true, if Bianca's connected to them, then my wife is a traitor and my son is bait." Dante's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "And I walked right into it." Tony's voice crackled through the radio from the car behind them. "Boss, Paolo's not answering his phone. Neither are half the security team." Of course they weren't. Paolo was compromised. How many others? The road ahead curved sharply along the cliff face. Dante knew this route by heart, had driven it 1,000 times. 2 more miles, and they'd hit the straightaway leading to. The semi-truck appeared out of nowhere. It was jackknifed across both lanes, completely blocking the road. No warning, no hazard lights. Just a massive wall of steel in the darkness. "Hold on." Dante yanked the wheel hard right. The car skidded, tires screaming, the ocean looming through the passenger window. For one weightless second, Dante thought they'd go over the cliff. Then the tires caught pavement, and they spun to a stop, inches from the guardrail. Ambush. Marco was already out, weapon raised. Gunfire erupted from the rocks above. Bullets punched through the windshield, spiderwebbing the glass. Dante threw himself out the driver's side, rolling behind the car as rounds sparked off metal. Behind him, Tony's car screeched to a stop, his men piling out for cover. Positions. Dante counted at least 6 shooters in the rocks. Professional positioning. Military training. These aren't street thugs. A bullet ricocheted off the pavement near his head, and Dante returned fire. 1 shooter dropped, tumbling down the rocky hillside. 5 left. Marco moved in a crouch to Dante's side. They knew we'd come this way. They knew exactly when. Bianca, the name tasted like poison. She told them. Another volley of gunfire. One of Tony's men went down, clutching his leg. They were pinned, and every second counted. Dante's mind raced. The mansion.
Low.
Mara's message cutting off. This ambush wasn't just about delaying him. It was about making sure he never arrived at all. "Boss, we're sitting ducks here,"
Tony called out.
"We need to move." But moving meant either retreating or advancing up the hillside directly into enemy fire. Both options meant more time. "Screw it." Marco, Tony, suppressing fire on my mark. Dante checked his ammunition. 1 clip left. "I'm going up. That's suicide. My son is dying." Dante's roar cut through the gunfire. "Every second we sit here is a second closer to me losing him. So either help me or get out of my way." Marco and Tony exchanged glances. Then Marco smiled, that crazy smile he got right before doing something insane. "Just like old times, boss. On 3-inch. 1. Dante tensed, every muscle coiled. 2. He thought of Leo's face this morning. I'll be back before breakfast. Promise. 3. Gunfire exploded from behind the cars, Marco and Tony unloading everything they had. Dante broke from cover and sprinted toward the hillside, bullets kicking up dirt around his feet. He hit the rocks and started climbing, using boulders for cover. A shooter appeared above him. Dante fired twice, once to the chest, once to the head. The man fell. 4 left. Another shooter leaned out. Dante shot him before he could aim. 3 left. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He grabbed it while pressed against a boulder, expecting Mara. Instead, an unknown number. A video. Dante's blood froze. The video showed Leo on an old bed, his lips blue, Mara leaning over him. Then the camera shifted, showing Paolo and 3 guards entering the room, guns raised. A text appeared below. Your son has 10 minutes. Maybe less. The maid dies in 5. Choose wisely. Save them or save yourself. White-hot rage consumed him. Dante stood up from cover, fully exposed, and emptied his entire clip into the remaining shooters. 1 fell. Another scrambled back. The 3rd tried to run, but Marco's bullet found him. Silence. Move. Dante was already sliding down the hillside. We're taking their truck. The semi-truck's driver was gone, but the keys were still in the ignition. Dante didn't question it. It was left intentionally, part of the game. They wanted him rattled, desperate. He was both. The truck roared to life. Marco and Tony barely made it into the cab before Dante floored it, the massive vehicle lumbering forward, gaining speed. Boss, look, Marco pointed at the dash. A phone, deliberately left behind. It buzzed with a new message. Dante grabbed it. Another video, this time showing the mansion grounds. People were moving in the darkness, dozens of them. Not guards. Infiltrators. Men in civilian clothes carrying military-grade weapons, surrounding his home. The message read, Welcome home, Dante. We've been waiting. It's not just Bianca, Dante said quietly. This is an invasion. They're taking everything. His home. His territory. His son. Then we go in shooting, Marco said. Dante pressed the accelerator harder. The mansion appeared on the horizon, its lights blazing in the darkness. He was coming. And God help anyone who stood between him and Leo. Dawn was still an hour away when the first gardener arrived at the Ruzzo mansion gates. He wore dirt-stained overalls and carried pruning shears, looking every bit like the landscaping crew that came 3 times a week. The night guard, one of Santo's men, barely glanced at him. Little early, isn't it? Emergency call. Mrs. Ruzzo said something about the rose bushes dying. The man smiled. You know how she is about those roses. The guard waved him through. Within minutes, 5 more gardeners arrived. Then a delivery truck, marked with a local bakery's logo, pulled up with fresh bread for the morning. None of them were what they claimed to be. By the time the real security noticed, 20 armed men had spread throughout the mansion grounds. They moved like shadows, disabling security cameras with practiced efficiency. One cut the main phone line. Another jammed the cell signal using a device hidden in a toolbox. The Ruzzo mansion became an island. Inside the servants' wing, Mara heard none of this. Her entire world had narrowed to Leo's face, his struggling breaths, and Paolo's gun pointed at her head. Please, she positioned herself between Paolo and Leo. He needs a hospital. He's just a child. He's a liability. Paolo stepped closer. Mrs. Ruzzo's orders. The boy doesn't leave this room alive. Behind him, the 3 guards shifted uncomfortably. One of them, younger, maybe 25, lowered his weapon slightly. Paolo, this ain't right. He's just a kid. He's Don Ruzzo's heir. And the new regime doesn't need heirs from the old boss. Paolo's finger tightened on the trigger. You got a problem with that, Marcus? Marcus hesitated. In that moment, Mara saw something, doubt, maybe even decency. She filed it away. No problem, Marcus muttered, but he didn't raise his gun again. Smart. Paolo turned back to Mara. Now, you can make this easy or hard. Easy. You step aside, let the boy go peacefully. We'll make it quick. Painless. Hard. You die first, then him. Your choice. Leo coughed behind her, a wet, rattling sound that meant his lungs were filling faster. She had minutes, not hours. If you're going to kill us, Mara said slowly, stalling, at least tell me why. What did a 7-year-old boy do to deserve this? He was born, Paolo shrugged. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong father. Mrs. Ruzzo married into this family to take it over, not to play stepmother. The Marcello family promised her power, money, territory. All she had to do was remove the obstacles. Dante's kid was obstacle number 1 inch. And Dante? Obstacle number 2. But much harder to remove. So we do this smart. Kill the kid, blame you, let grief destroy Dante from the inside. Within 6 months, he'll be useless. That's when the Marcellos make their move.
Clean.
Simple. Profitable. Mara's mind raced. She needed a weapon, a distraction, anything. Her eyes scanned the room. Old medical equipment. Furniture. The window. The window. 3 stories up, but there was a ledge. A narrow one, but maybe. Okay, she raised her hand slowly. Okay.
You win. Just.
Let me say goodbye to him first. Please. Paolo considered this, then nodded. 30 seconds. Then I'm done being nice. Mara turned to Leo, leaning close like she was hugging him. Her lips brushed his ear. When I say run, you run to the window. Don't think. Don't look back. Just run. Leo's eyes widened slightly, but he nodded, barely perceptible. Mara's hand found the old stethoscope on the bed.
Heavy.
Metal. Not much, but it was something. She stood, turning back to Paolo. Thank you for. She threw the stethoscope at his face and screamed. Run. Leo rolled off the bed as Paolo stumbled back, cursing. Mara lunged for the medical cabinet, grabbing a tray of rusted instruments and hurling them at the guards. Scalpels, forceps, scissors, all flying through the air. Marcus ducked. The other 2 guards fired, but Mara was already moving, dragging Leo toward the window. The ledge. She shoved the window open. Go. I can't. Yes, you can. Bullets punched through the walls. Leo climbed onto the windowsill, his small hands gripping the frame. Below, the ground seemed impossibly far. I've got you. Mara climbed out after him, one arm around his waist. Hold on to me. The ledge was maybe 8 inches wide. They pressed against the mansion's exterior wall, inching sideways as Paolo's face appeared in the window. You've got nowhere to go. He aimed his gun. Mara looked down the ledge. 20 feet away was another window, darker, hopefully unlocked. Between here and there was nothing but empty space and a 3-story drop. We have to move. She could feel Leo's heart hammering against her arm. Too fast, irregular, failing. Can you walk? I think. They moved.
In.
Leo's breathing grew more labored with each step. Behind them, Paolo was climbing out the window. Halfway there, Leo's legs gave out. Mara caught him, but his weight pulled them both forward. For one terrifying second, they teetered on the edge. Below, she could see people moving in the gardens, the workers who weren't workers at all. The mansion was surrounded, compromised. Even if they got inside, there was nowhere safe to go. Unless. The tunnels, Leo whispered. Papa showed me. When I was little. Secret tunnels. For smuggling. During Prohibition. Where? Wine cellar.
Hidden door.
Behind the 1947 collection. A gunshot cracked. The brick beside Mara's head exploded into dust. Move or die. Paolo was finding his balance on the ledge. Mara grabbed Leo and dove for the next window. The window shattered as Mara crashed through it, curling her body around Leo to take the impact. They hit the floor hard, glass raining down around them. Pain exploded through her shoulder, but She forced herself to move. They'd landed in an old storage room. Dusty furniture, moth-eaten curtains, boxes stacked to the ceiling. Another forgotten space in this mansion of secrets.
Lao.
She checked him frantically. His pulse was thready, irregular. His skin felt cold and clammy. Stay with me, baby. Tired, his eyes fluttered. So tired. I know. But I need you to tell me about those tunnels. Where exactly? In the wine cellar? Behind them, Paolo's voice carried through the broken window. I see blood. They're hurt. Find which room that window connects to. Leo's hand clutched weakly at her shirt. Miss Mara, have to tell you. Before nothing. You're not dying today. But if I do, he coughed, blood speckling his lips. Papa needs to know. About Bianca. I found proof. What proof? In her drawer. When she went out last week. I was looking for my medicine, and another cough. Worse than before. I found a letter. Hidden under her jewelry box. Mara pulled him close, trying to shield him with her body as footsteps pounded in the hallway outside. What did it say? It was in code. Numbers and letters. But at the bottom, Leo's breath was coming in short gasps now. It said, eliminate the heir. And it was signed VM. Vincent Marcello. Ice flooded Mara's veins. This wasn't just Bianca acting alone. The Marcello family, Dante's rivals, had planted her in his home like a bomb. Did you take a picture? Any evidence? Leo nodded weakly, fumbling for his pajama pocket. His fingers were shaking, turning blue at the tips. He pulled out a small piece of paper, folded so many times it was barely larger than a stamp. Copied the important parts.
Papa told me.
In case I ever needed to remember something. Mara unfolded it. Leo's childish handwriting, but clear. Account hashtag 847-2955, CH transfer. $5 million upon marriage, $10 million upon heir elimination, $25 million upon D. Our death total takeover. 60 days VM. Oh my God, this was a contract. A murder-for-hire contract with a timeline. Dante's death was planned. Scheduled. There's more, Leo whispered. In her phone. She keeps it locked, but I saw her code. 0-8-1-7, her birthday. The door handle rattled. They're in here. A guard's voice. Get Paolo. Mara looked around desperately. The room had one door, about to be breached, and one broken window they couldn't go back through. But there was a wardrobe in the corner, large enough to hide in, and a heating vent near the ceiling. Neither option would work for long. The wine cellar, she said urgently. How do we get there from here?
Down.
2 floors. Through the main hall, Leo's voice was fading. But they're everywhere. Then we don't go through the halls. Mara looked at the heating vent again. Too small for her, but Leo was tiny, and if the ductwork connected to other rooms.
No. Too risky.
He could barely breathe as it was. The door shuttered. Someone was ramming it. Miss Mara, take the paper. Leave me. Absolutely not. I'm slowing you down. You can escape. Tell Papa. Leo Ruzzo, listen to me. Mara gripped his small face in her hands. Your father loves you more than anything in this world. He's probably fighting his way here right now, and when he arrives, you're going to be alive to see him. Understand? Tears leaked from Leo's eyes. But I'm so tired. I know, baby. But you're Ruzzo. You're strong. You're a fighter, she kissed his forehead. And fighters don't quit. The door splintered. One more hit, and it would break. Mara made a decision. She grabbed a heavy lamp from a side table, positioned herself behind where the door would swing open, and pulled Leo behind a stack of boxes. When they come in, stay hidden. Don't make a sound. What are you? Saving us both. Now hide. The door exploded inward. Paolo entered first, gun raised, 2 guards behind him. They scanned the room, seeing the broken window, the blood on the floor, but not seeing their targets. Check behind everything, Paolo ordered. They're here somewhere. As the first guard moved past her hiding spot, Mara swung the lamp with every ounce of strength she had left. It connected with his skull with a sickening crack.
He dropped.
She grabbed his gun as she moved, firing twice at the second guard. Both shots hit center mass.
He fell.
Paolo spun, his weapon tracking her, but Mara was faster. She fired once, hitting his shoulder, and he dropped his gun. Before he could recover, she had her weapon pressed against his head. "Call them off," she hissed. "Every guard. Every fake gardener. Or I paint these walls with your brain." Paolo laughed, actually laughed, blood seeping through his shirt. "You won't make it. There are 30 men in this mansion. Dante's outnumbered 3-1. You're all dead." "Maybe." Mara's finger tightened on the trigger. "But you'll die first." From the hallway, a voice called out. "Paolo? Report." Mara pressed the gun harder against Paolo's temple. "Tell them everything's fine. Do it now." Paolo's eyes met hers. She saw the calculation there, weighing his odds, his loyalty, his survival. "Everything's fine," he called out. "Still searching." "Good." Mara pulled Leo from behind the boxes. "Now you're going to walk us to the wine cellar. And if anyone tries to stop us, you're my shield." Bianca stood in the mansion's library, surrounded by 6 guards loyal to her cause, or at least loyal to her money. She'd changed from her ruined robe into a black dress that made her look like a widow already preparing for mourning. Through the window, she watched the infiltrators moving into position. 27 men, all armed, all professionals. The Marcello family had sent their best. By sunrise, the Ruzzo mansion would belong to them.
And Dante?
He'd be a broken man, perfect for manipulation or elimination. Her phone buzzed. Vincent Marcello. Status. His voice was clipped, impatient. "The mansion is secure. Communications are cut. Dante's been delayed by the ambush," she smiled. "Everything's going according to plan. Except the maid is still alive. And she has the boy." Bianca's smile faltered. "Paolo is handling it. Paolo just called for backup. The maid shot 2 of his men and has him at gunpoint." Vincent's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "How did a nursemaid become our biggest problem? She's former GAR. She knows combat triage, works under pressure. I don't care about her resume. I care that she's compromising a 6-month operation." A pause. "Where's Dante now?" Bianca checked the security feed on her tablet, or tried to. Half the cameras were disabled. "I don't know. The highway ambush should have. Vincent's anger crackled through the phone. He broke through. Killed 8 men. He's probably 15 minutes out. 15 minutes. Not enough time to find Leo and finish this cleanly. "Then we moved to Plan B," Bianca said. Plan B was supposed to be a last resort. "We're out of resorts, Vincent." She gestured to her guards. "Gather everyone. Every man we have. I want them in the main hall in 5 minutes." She ended the call and walked to Dante's liquor cabinet, pouring herself a scotch, his favorite, the 30-year-old bottle he saved for special occasions. This qualified. When her guards assembled, she addressed them with the calm authority she'd perfected over months of playing the dutiful wife. "Gentlemen, there's been a development. Dante is missing, possibly dead, and in his absence, I'm assuming temporary control of this family." She let that sink in. "The maid, Mara Santos, has suffered a complete mental breakdown. She's kidnapped Leo and killed 3 guards. She's armed and extremely dangerous." One of Santos' remaining men, a guard named Dominic, stepped forward. "Ma'am, with respect, I've known Mara for 2 years. She's not." "Are you questioning me?" Bianca's voice turned to ice.
"No, ma'am."
"But maybe we should wait for Don Ruzzo before." Bianca pulled a gun from her dress, a small .22, barely larger than her hand, and shot Dominic in the chest. He dropped without a sound. The room froze. "Anyone else want to wait?" She surveyed the guards, seeing fear replace doubt.
"Good.
Now listen carefully. The maid has access to sensitive family information, documents, financial records. If she escapes, If she talks to the FBI or a rival family, the Ruzzo empire crumbles. Everything your Don built, gone. She pulled out her tablet, showing them doctored security footage, Mara apparently stealing files from Dante's office, meeting with suspicious men, accepting envelopes of cash. All fake, all created by Marcello's tech team, but convincing enough. She's been a spy this whole time, working for someone. We don't know who yet. But she's using Leo as a hostage to ensure her escape. Bianca's voice cracked perfectly, tears appearing on cue. That little boy is everything to Dante. If anything happens to him, because we hesitated. She let the implication hang. So here are your orders, find them. Shoot the maid on sight. Rescue Leo, alive if possible, but the priority is stopping her, she paused. And when you find them, I want to be there. I want to look that woman in the eyes before she dies. The guards dispersed, spreading through the mansion like a plague. Santos loyalists were now a minority, outnumbered and outgunned. Within minutes, every hallway, every room, every shadow was being searched. Bianca returned to the library and made another call. Dr. Chin? It's Bianca Ruzzo. Yes, I know it's early. I need you at the mansion immediately. My stepson had a heart episode, and I'm afraid his condition has deteriorated significantly. Yes, bring everything.
And doctor?
Discretion is essential. The press can't know that Dante Ruzzo's son is failing. Dr. Chen, the family's paid physician, who asked no questions and signed whatever death certificates were needed, agreed immediately.
Perfect.
When Leo's body was found, there would be a respected doctor to declare it natural causes. Heart failure. So tragic. The boy's condition was always precarious. She poured another scotch, watching the organized chaos through the windows.
Men shouting.
Flashlights cutting through the darkness. The sound of doors being kicked open. Her phone buzzed with a text from Paolo, wine cellar. They're heading for the tunnels. Bianca's blood ran cold. The tunnels. She'd forgotten about those damn tunnels. If they got into the tunnel system, they could emerge anywhere, the old distillery 3 miles away, the boathouse on the coast, even the church in town. Once they were out, Leo could talk. The letter could surface. Everything would unravel. She grabbed her gun and headed for the door, gathering 10 men as she moved. The wine cellar.
Now.
Block every exit. If they get into those tunnels, seal them inside. I don't care if we have to bring down the whole mansion. Nobody leaves alive. The wine cellar stretched deep beneath the mansion, rows of dusty bottles disappearing into shadow. Mara dragged Paolo down the stone steps, her stolen gun pressed against his spine. Leo clutched in her other arm like precious cargo. Leo's breathing had become a raspy whistle. His weight, already slight, felt lighter, as if his body was consuming itself from the inside. She had minutes left. Maybe less. The 1947 collection, she hissed at Paolo. Where is it? Go to hell. Blood dripped from Paolo's shoulder wound, leaving a trail on the stone floor. Mara jabbed the gun harder. Your loyalty to Bianca won't matter when you're dead. Where? Paolo's jaw tightened, but his eyes flicked involuntarily to the far corner, the oldest section, where bottles covered in decades of dust sat in iron racks. Thank you. Mara shoved him forward. They reached the 1947 collection, 30 bottles of some wine Dante probably paid a fortune for. Mara scanned the wall behind them, looking for a seam, a crack, anything that indicated a hidden door. There's nothing there, Paolo said. The kid's delirious. There are no tunnels. But Leo's small hand reached out, his finger pointing to a specific bottle, third from the left, bottom row. That one.
Papa said.
Pull and twist. Mara handed Leo to Paolo, keeping her gun trained on both of them, and grabbed the bottle. She pulled. Nothing. She twisted. The bottle rotated 90 degrees with a soft click. The entire wine rack swung inward, revealing a dark passage that smelled of earth and age. I'll be damned, Paolo muttered. You will be. Mara took Leo back. Now you're going in first. Any tricks, and I shoot you in the spine. They entered the tunnel. The passage was narrow, brick-lined, built in the 1920s when the Ruzzo family made their fortune smuggling liquor during Prohibition. The air was cold and stale, and the only light came from Mara's phone flashlight. Behind them, the wine rack swung shut automatically, sealing them in darkness. The door, Mara spun, her heart lurching. It locks from this side. Leo's voice was barely audible. There's a lever. On the wall. Papa showed me. Mara found it, an old iron lever, rusted but functional. She pulled it down, and somewhere in the mechanism, ancient locks engaged. They'd bought themselves time. Not much, but some. Move, she pushed Paolo forward. The tunnel sloped downward, heading east toward the ocean. According to Leo, it branched in 3 directions, one to the old distillery, one to the boathouse, one to the family church. They walked for what felt like hours but was probably 5 minutes. Paolo stumbled occasionally, his shoulder wound weakening him.
Good.
An injured hostage was easier to control. Leo's head lolled against Mara's shoulder. His skin felt like ice. Stay awake, baby.
Talk to me. Mama Leo whispered.
Is that you, Mama? Mara's heart cracked. It's Mara, sweetheart. Stay with me. Mama's waiting. She says it's peaceful.
No.
Mara's voice echoed in the tunnel. You don't go toward that light, you hear me? Your mama wants you to stay with your papa. She wants you to live. Behind them, a muffled boom shook the tunnel. Dust rained from the ceiling. They're breaching the wine cellar, Paolo said with satisfaction. You've got maybe 3 minutes before they figure out where you went. Another boom.
Closer this time.
They were using explosives. Mara ran, half-dragging Paolo, Leo bouncing in her arms. Her lungs burned. Her shoulder, injured from the window crash, screamed in protest. But she pushed forward. The tunnel branched ahead, 3 dark passages spreading like veins. Which way? Mara demanded. Left to the distillery, Leo whispered. Straight to boats. Right to church. Behind them, another explosion. This one breached something. She heard voices echoing down the tunnel. Bianca's voice, sharp and commanding. Split up. Check all 3 tunnels. They can't have gotten far. The boats, Mara decided. If they could reach the coast, flag down a fishing vessel, get Leo to a hospital. She ran straight, Paolo stumbling ahead of her. The tunnel grew damper, the smell of ocean salt mixing with the earthy darkness. They were getting close. Then Paolo stopped. Move! Mara shoved him. Can't, he pointed ahead. The tunnel ended at a massive iron door, locked with chains and a padlock the size of Mara's fist. A newer addition, probably installed by Dante to prevent exactly what they were trying to do. No, no, no. Mara pulled at the chains. They didn't budge. End of the line, Paolo said, then raised his voice. They're here. Straight tunnel. Mara's gun came up, but Paolo was already moving, tackling her despite his wounded shoulder. They hit the ground hard. The gun skittered away into darkness. Leo tumbled from her arms, landing with a sickening thud against the tunnel wall. He didn't make a sound, didn't move.
Lie.
Mara scrambled toward him, but Paolo grabbed her ankle. Flashlights appeared behind them. Voices. Footsteps. An army descending. Mara kicked Paolo in the face, hearing his nose crunch. She crawled to Leo, pressing her fingers against his neck. Nothing.
No pulse.
No, no, please God, no. She started chest compressions. 30 pumps. 2 breaths. 30 pumps. 2 breaths. Leo's lips were gray. His chest didn't rise. The flashlights grew brighter. Bianca's voice. Stop what you're doing, Mara. He's gone. You killed him. I didn't, you did you. Mara kept pumping, kept breathing,
Kept praying.
It's over. Bianca stepped into the light, gun raised. 10 guards behind her. Step away from the body.
He's not dead.
He's not dead.
He is.
And soon, you will be too. Bianca's finger moved to the trigger. Goodbye, Mara. A gunshot echoed through the tunnel. But Mara didn't fall. Bianca's scream filled the tunnel as blood exploded from her shooting hand. The gun clattered to the stone floor. She clutched her mangled fingers, stumbling backward into her guards. Dante Ruzzo stepped out of the darkness behind them, his weapon still raised, his suit torn and bloodied from the highway ambush. Marco and Tony flanked him, guns trained on Bianca's men. Don't move. Dante's voice was thunder. Nobody moves or the next bullet goes through her skull. The guards froze, torn between loyalty to Bianca and the raw, terrifying rage emanating from their true dawn. Several of them slowly raised their hands. Dante. Bianca's voice turned honeyed despite her pain. Thank God you're here. This woman, she went crazy. She attacked me. She kidnapped Leo. Shut your mouth. Dante's gun shifted to her head. Santo updated me on everything. The infiltrators. The fake gardeners. Paolo's confession before he bled out in the wine cellar. Bianca's eyes widened.
Paolo's alive.
Was alive. Marco made sure he talked first. Dante moved forward, his men covering him. 30 seconds. That's how long you have to tell me where my son is before I start shooting everyone in this tunnel. She has him.
Bianca pointed at Mara.
She's been poisoning him, stealing his medication. Dante's gaze finally landed on Mara, kneeling over a small, motionless form. His face went white.
Lao.
His voice cracked. Mr. Ruzzo, he's not breathing. I can't find a pulse. I've been doing CPR, but... Mara's voice broke as tears streamed down her face. I'm sorry, I tried. I tried so hard. Dante was moving before she finished, shoving past Bianca and her guards like they didn't exist. He dropped to his knees beside his son. Leo's lips were blue-gray. His small chest was still. His eyes were half open, unseeing. No, Dante's hands trembled as he touched Leo's face. No, no, no. Baby, wake up. Wake up. He tilted Leo's head back, pinched his nose, and breathed into his mouth.
Once. Twice.
Then chest compressions one-handed because Leo was so small, so fragile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dante counted through gritted teeth, then breathed again. Behind him, Bianca tried to slip away. Marco's gun stopped her. You're not going anywhere, Marco said softly. Boss wants words with you. 15, 16, 17. Dante's voice was breaking. Come on, Leo.
Come on, son. Don't leave me.
Please don't leave me. Nothing. Leo's chest remained still. He's gone, Dante. Bianca's voice was cold now. The mask completely dropped. Just accept it. The boy was never going to survive. He was too weak, too. Shut up. Dante roared, continuing compressions. 28, 29, 30. He breathed into Leo's mouth again. Then again. Boss. Tony's voice was gentle. He's been down too long. Without oxygen for this many minutes. I said shut up. Dante went back to compressions, harder now, desperate. You don't give up on family. You never give up on family. Mara watched, her heart shattering. She'd failed. After everything, she'd failed. Mr. Ruzzo, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I tried to protect him. I tried. You did. Dante's eyes met hers, and she saw belief there, absolute, unwavering. This wasn't you. This was her. His gaze shifted to Bianca with such hatred that several guards stepped back. 30, 31, 32. He breathed into Leo's mouth again. Dante, stop. Bianca's voice had turned pleading, desperate.
He's dead.
But we can have another child, you and I. A healthy child. A strong heir. You think I'd ever touch you again? Dante's laugh was hollow, broken. You think I'd let you live long enough to? Leo coughed. The sound was small, wet, horrible, but it was life. Dante froze.
La.
Another cough. Leo's chest spasmed, and fluid spilled from his mouth. His eyes fluttered. That's it, baby, cough it out. Dante rolled him to his side.
Brett, son.
Breathe. Leo gasped, a rattling, desperate sound, and his eyes opened. Unfocused, confused, but open.
Papa.
The word was barely audible. I'm here. Dante cradled his son against his chest, tears streaming down his face. I'm here. I've got you. You're safe now.
Impossible. Bianca breted.
He was dead. He was. Shut up. Dante looked at Marco. Get Dr. Karras on the phone. Tell him we need emergency cardiac support now. And get Santo. I want every infiltrator rounded up. Every single 1 inch. He stood, lifting Leo in his arms. The boy's breathing was shallow but steady.
Alive.
Barely but alive. Dante's eyes swept over Bianca's guards. Any man who stands with her dies with her. Any man who stands with me walks out of here.
Choose. Now.
Every guard lowered their weapons and stepped away from Bianca. She stood alone, clutching her ruined hand. Her perfect plan collapsed around her. You can't kill me, she said, voice shaking. I'm your wife.
There are laws, Dante.
The commission will. The commission? Dante's smile was terrifying. You mean the same commission that's been asking questions about Vincent Marcello's expansion plans? The same commission that's going to be very interested in a recorded confession from Paolo about a Marcello plant in the Ruzzo family? Bianca's face went pale. That's right. Paolo sang like a canary before he died.
Names. Dates.
Bank accounts. Everything. Dante stepped closer. You're not my wife. You're a traitor. And traitors don't get trials. Wait. Bianca backed against the tunnel wall. I can give you Vincent. I can give you everything. The Marcello family's operations, their finances there. I already have everything I need. Dante adjusted Leo in his arms. Mara, let's go. My son needs a hospital. As they walked away, Bianca's screams echoed through the tunnel. Screams that ended abruptly with a single gunshot. Dante carried Leo through the dark tunnel, Mara walking beside him, her hand on the boy's wrist monitoring his weak pulse. Behind them, Marco and Tony swept for any remaining threats. The gunshot that had silenced Bianca still rang in everyone's ears. Wait, Dante stopped suddenly, his instincts screaming danger. Something's wrong. The tunnel ahead was too quiet, too dark. Marco moved forward, flashlight sweeping. Boss, there's. The explosion was deafening. The tunnel 20 feet ahead erupted in flames and debris. The shockwave knocked them backward. Dante twisted, shielding Leo with his body as chunks of brick rained down. When the dust settled, the tunnel was blocked by a wall of rubble. Secondary charges. Tony coughed through the dust. They planned to seal us in. From behind them came the sound they all dreaded. More explosions. One after another, collapsing the tunnel in both directions. They were trapped.
No. Mara checked Leo frente cali.
The explosion had jolted him into consciousness, but his breathing was worse now, panic making his heart work harder than it could handle.
Papa?
Leo's voice was a terrified whisper. What's happening? Just some noise, buddy. You're okay. Dante's voice was steady despite the situation. He looked at Marco. Options. We're sealed in both directions. Maybe 20 feet of clearance. Marco's face was grim. Could take hours to dig out, and we don't have the equipment. Air supply? In a tunnel this old? Maybe an hour. Maybe less. Leo started coughing, his small body convulsing. Blood flecked his lips. He doesn't have an hour, Mara said desperately.
His heart is failing.
Without medication, without proper oxygen. A sound interrupted her. Footsteps. Coming from the blocked direction ahead, from beyond the rubble. Dante Ruzzo. The voice was muffled but unmistakable. Vincent Marcello. Can you hear me? Dante's gun was up instantly. I hear you, Vincent. Good. Then hear this. You're sitting in your tomb. Those explosions were on a timer, set before Bianca ever entered the tunnel. Insurance, you might say. You killed your own operative. Bianca was useful until she wasn't.
Sloppy.
Emotional. She let a maid and a dying child compromise an entire operation. Vincent's voice was conversational, almost pleasant. But she served her purpose. She got me close enough to destroy you. You're going to dig us out, Vincent. Dante's voice was steel. Or I promise you, the commission will bury you so deep. The commission? Vincent laughed. The commission is tired of the Ruzzo family's independence. Half of them funded this operation. They want your territory divided among the families that play by their rules.
Marcos swore softly.
It's not just the Marcellos. It's half the bosses in the state. Smart boy, Vincent's voice grew colder. Here's how this works, Dante. You die in that tunnel. Tragic accident, structural collapse, very sad. Your empire gets divided. Your men get absorbed into other families. And your son. Leo whimpered, pressing his face against Dante's chest. My son walks out of here alive, Dante said flatly. Or I make sure every family involved pays in blood for a generation. Brave words from a dead man. But let's be realistic, that boy has maybe 15 minutes before his heart stops. Even if I wanted to dig you out, we couldn't do it in time. A pause. But I'm not completely heartless. I'll make you an offer.
I'm listening.
You give me the flash drive. Silence. What flash drive? Dante's voice was carefully neutral. Don't play stupid. Your father's insurance policy. 20 years of dirt on every family in the commission. Bribes, murders, FBI informants, the whole criminal record. Your father told his lawyer that if anything happened to him, the drive would be released to the feds. Vincent's voice hardened. That drive is the only reason the commission didn't move against you sooner. So here's the deal. Give me the drive and I dig you out. Keep it and I walk away. You choose. Dante looked down at Leo, whose breathing was becoming more labored. At Mara, whose hands were shaking as she tried to keep Leo conscious. At Marco and Tony, loyal to the end. The drive's not here, Dante said. It's in a safe deposit box. Bank of Manhattan, registered under a false name. Then you tell me how to access it.
Now.
And then you kill us anyway. Maybe. Maybe not. But your son definitely dies if you don't cooperate. Vincent's voice dropped to a whisper.
Tick-tock, Dante.
What's more important, your insurance policy or your boy's life? Mara grabbed Dante's arm. Mr. Ruzzo, don't trust him. Even if you give him what he wants. He'll kill us all, Dante finished. He looked at Leo, whose eyes were starting to roll back. But without that information, Leo dies for certain. Papa, Leo's hand clutched weakly at Dante's shirt. The paper. Miss Mara has. Bianca's letter. Mara pulled the folded note from her pocket. Leo's childish handwriting detailing Bianca's bank accounts, the murder contract, Vincent's signature. What's that? Vincent called. I heard something about a letter. Dante looked at the paper, his mind racing. Then at the rubble blocking them in. Then at a small gap near the ceiling where air was still flowing through. Marco, he whispered.
That gap.
Could you fit through? Maybe. If I dislocate my shoulder.
Do it.
Take the letter.
Get it to Santo.
Tell him to photograph it and send copies to every family boss in the state, every FBI field office, every newspaper. Boss, that'll start a war. Good, Dante's smile was cold. Vincent wants my empire? He can have it. Burned to the ground with him inside it. And what about you? Dante looked down at his dying son. We're getting out of here. One way or another. Marco squeezed through the gap in the rubble, his shoulder popping with a sound that made everyone wince. He disappeared into the darkness beyond, carrying Leo's folded paper, evidence that would ignite a war across every crime family in the state. Marco's through. Tony called out. He's moving fast. On the other side of the collapsed tunnel, Vincent's voice turned sharp. What was that? Dante, what are you doing? Buying time, Dante cradled Leo closer. The boy's breathing had become a barely perceptible whisper. His skin was gray, his lips nearly white. Mara, how long? She pressed her fingers to Leo's neck, counting the weak, irregular beats.
Minutes.
Maybe 5. His heart's in ventricular fibrillation. It's not pumping effectively anymore. Then we moved. Dante looked at Tony. The blocked tunnel behind us. How unstable. Tony examined the debris. Very. But there might be a crawl space. If we can shift these bricks without causing another collapse. Do it.
Fast.
They worked frantically, Tony and Dante pulling at rubble with their bare hands, creating a small opening. Blood dripped from Dante's torn fingers, but he didn't stop. Dante. Vincent's voice was furious now. What's happening? Answer me. Go to hell, Vincent. Dante shoved another brick aside. You just signed your death warrant. All of you. Get in line. The opening grew larger, barely wide enough for a person to crawl through. Beyond it, darkness, but also the faint sound of voices. Santo's men, trying to dig from the other side.
Santo.
Dante shouted through the gap. We're here. Keep digging. Boss. Santo's voice was muffled but close. We're coming. Hold on. Leo's body went rigid in Dante's arms. His eyes rolled back. A seizure. His heart wasn't getting enough oxygen to his brain. No. Mara positioned Leo's head. He's coding. We need to get him out now. Tony, you first. Dante ordered. Then Mara with Leo, then me. Tony crawled through the gap as bricks continued to shift and groan around them. On the other side, he helped pull debris away, widening the opening. Mara, go. She took Leo from Dante's arms, his small body limp and unresponsive. She crawled through the opening, protecting his head, whispering prayers she didn't know she remembered. Santo's men pulled her through the other side. She emerged into a section of tunnel that was damaged but stable, lit by emergency lights. Santo was there, 10 loyal guards with him. Get him to the surface.
Santo comande.
Dr. Karras is waiting with a full cardiac team. How? Marco made it out. Called everyone. Santo pulled Dante through the opening just as another rumble shook the tunnel. Move. They ran through the damaged tunnel, up stone steps slick with water, through the wine cellar where Paolo's body still lay, and finally into the mansion's main hall. Dr. Karras had converted Dante's dining room into an emergency trauma bay. Equipment Mara recognized from hospitals: defibrillator, oxygen, cardiac monitors for stands. Get him on the table, Dr. Karras ordered. Mara laid Leo down. Dr. Karras cut away his pajamas, revealing his tiny chest. The monitor showed what they all feared: asystole. Flatline. Charging to 100 joules, Dr. Karras said calmly. Clear. The shock made Leo's small body arch off the table. The monitor remained flat. Charging to 150. Clear. Another shock. Another flatline. Give me epinephrine, 0.1 milligrams, Dr. Karras ordered his nurse. And prepare for chest compressions. Dante stood frozen, watching his son's lifeless form. Mara grabbed his hand, squeezing hard. Charging to 200. This is our last shot. Dr. Karras placed the paddles. Clear. The shock hit. For one eternal second, nothing happened. Then the monitor beeped.
Once. Twice.
A rhythm, weak, irregular, but a rhythm. We have sinus touch, the nurse called out. Heart rate 120. Leo gasped, his eyes flying open.
Papa?
I'm here, baby. I'm right here. Dante was at the table instantly, his hand on Leo's face. You're okay. You're going to be okay. Dr. Karras worked quickly for lines, oxygen mask, heart medications. He needs a hospital. A real one. His heart is severely damaged. My helicopter's on the roof, Dante said. Santo, clear the landing pad. As they prepared Leo for transport, Marco burst into the room, phone in hand. Boss, it's done. The letter's been sent to everyone. Every family boss just got proof that Vincent Marcello orchestrated a hit on a commission-sanctioned boss using a planted wife. Dante's smile was predatory. And the commission is having an emergency meeting. Vincent's being called in to answer for unsanctioned action. Half his own family is turning on him. Marco's grin widened. You just destroyed the Marcello empire without firing a shot. Good. Dante looked at Leo, now stable enough for transport. What about the infiltrators? Round it up. All 27 of them. Waiting for your orders.
Turn them over to the FBI. Anonymous tip.
Let them explain why they were invading a private residence with military weapons. Within 20 minutes, Leo was on a helicopter heading to St. Catherine's Hospital, the best cardiac unit in the state. Dante sat beside him, refusing to let go of his hand. Mara sat across from them, exhausted, bloodied, but alive. You saved him, Dante said quietly. When everyone else ran or betrayed us, you stayed. You fought. He's a good kid. He deserves to live. And you deserve more than I can ever repay. Dante's eyes were serious. From this moment on, you're family, not staff. Family. You're Leo's guardian, with full authority over his care. Whatever you need, salary, security, anything, it's yours. Tears streamed down Mara's face. I just want him to be okay. He will be. Dante looked at his son, whose eyes were now closed but his breathing steady. We both will be. 3 days later, Leo woke up in a private hospital room. His father sat beside him, as he had every hour since they'd arrived. Mara was there too, reading from Leo's favorite book.
Papa.
Leo's voice was hoarse but strong. Hey, buddy, did we win? Dante smiled, a real smile, not the cold one he wore for business.
Yeah, son.
We won. Outside the window, morning sun painted the city gold. Vincent Marcello was in FBI custody, his family in ruins. Bianca was buried in an unmarked grave. The commission had issued a formal apology to the Ruzzo family. But more importantly, Leo was alive. And Dante had learned the most important lesson of all, that the real strength of a family wasn't in its guns or its money or its territory. It was in the people who stayed, when staying meant risking everything. It was in a brave maid who became a mother, a dying boy who became a survivor, and a father who finally came home. End of story. Word count, 900. Total story word count, 10,889 words.